What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's jaws have finally closed after the weekend that we had with college football. Jesus. I mean, apparently nobody wanted to play ball. I mean, that's basically what it all boiled down to. Upsets spawn upsets and things that my picks were way off. Way off. But let's go ahead and get into it. Week 11. Start at the top. Clemson falling to Pitt. Last second 40-plus yard field goal in Death Valley. I mean, what do you do? What do you say to that? There's not a whole lot you can say to that. Let's go to the next one. Auburn falls to Georgia in the Civil War. Now, this should not have even have been remotely close. However, rivalry games. So, who knows? Regardless, another top 10 team falls. Texas A&M gets beat. Another one falls. Okay, Michigan falls to Iowa. Another top 10 team falls. We had USC beat Washington. Another top 10 team falls. Virginia Tech got beat again. They fell out of the top 25. That's your number 14. And LSU beat Arkansas, so Arkansas is out. Whatever we knew just went out the window. Okay, whatever predictions we thought we had, things are in shambles right now as far as conference championships, people winning certain sides. Things are just, it could go either way, okay, right now. Everybody's all over the place. So that pretty much wraps up Week 11. I think the Heisman voting has pretty much been decided. I don't think there's a question in it. We'll talk about conferences because things could get shaken up real quick as far as that's concerned. And we'll talk about Week 12. As the weeks have gone on, I myself have put my Heismans in, the rankings where I think they should be and who's deserving, as if my vote really means a shit. But, let's get in here to talk to you guys about football. I mean, whatever. Love it. So, I'm only going to talk about one person. He's pretty much solidified the Heisman right now with, Deshaun Watson getting beat this week. I think his was kind of in an up and down. Yeah, he had some victories, but he hasn't been something that's like amazingly standing out. And Lamar Jackson has punched his ticket to New York. He's there, and you might as well just go ahead and give him the trophy now. He's got a game Thursday this week. It was supposed to have huge implications, but it's not even remotely close to what we thought it was going to be. There's Mr. Humphreys of San Diego State who's breaking rushing records, and that's great because you play. You still play Division I football, but let's be honest, the competition of the two is not even remotely close. Louisville, yes, they play in the ACC. Yes, they might not be the greatest conference, but it's still legitimate competition. I mean, they smashed Florida State. They were a decision of going right or left from beating Clemson. Yeah, okay, you're breaking rushing records, but let's be honest, you play in a conference that, against teams that, in all actuality, don't matter. In all honesty, they don't. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't count. So Lamar Jackson is hands down the Heisman. I don't think there's any question there as to who should get it this year. Regardless of what happens from here on out, nobody is even close to catching that man. Let's talk into this. Let's get into conferences because there's a whole world that could be shaken up with just a couple games left this season. Okay, conferences. We got, obviously, I think the Big Ten is still the best team in the country, or the best conference in the country. There are possibilities right now as far as that goes as to who goes where and who does what. Michigan getting beat by Iowa, I mean, that's a conference game. Okay, that's a conference loss. So now the Michigan-Ohio State game, huge implications as far as not just conference-wise, But playoff-wise, okay, Ohio State's back in the playoff talk. Michigan's in the playoff talk. You know, they're both in there. Two Big Ten teams. This game, the Michigan Ohio State game, is going to be huge. I would have ventured to guess the game day is going to be there. Playoff implications are going to be on the line because the winner of that game, more than likely, is going to go and represent the Big Ten in the playoffs, and the loser is going to be on the outside looking in. Because let's be honest, Louisville is on the outside. They're there. They're ready. Okay. Louisville is probably not going to lose another game this year. Therefore, the loser of the Michigan-Ohio State game is going to fall behind Louisville. Okay, so best believe Louisville is watching that game. The SEC, we've pretty much had this one wrapped up. Alabama's had that since the season started, and arguably the best team in the nation. I still think Michigan can hang with them. I think they had a bad game against Iowa, and it's just one of those trap games where they're kind of looking ahead, you know. But it is what it is. So I think Bama's going to win the SEC. There's no question there. They're going to stay number one, and they're going to be the number one team in the playoff seed. The ACC, Virginia Tech had a chance to clinch Coastal this last week, okay, but with a loss that they took against Georgia Tech because they suck. Just kidding. But now they have a game against Notre Dame this week, and then they have UVA after Thanksgiving. The winner, if Virginia Tech can beat UVA, more than likely will play Clemson in the ACC championship. Clemson just has to win out, which they're like 99.2% chance of winning out. So, if not, North Carolina still has NC State. So, in the ACC Coastal side, Virginia Tech beats UVA, it's done. They have the tiebreaker against UNC. If Virginia Tech loses, UNC is in unless UNC loses to NC State. And that will determine your Coastal representative in the ACC championship. Regardless, I think Clemson's going to win, and Clemson is going to go on to represent the ACC into the college playoffs. The Big 12, Oklahoma is steamrolling right now. Okay, the team that played Houston at the beginning of the year must have packed up and went home because Oklahoma looks solid. No one's going to beat them. They will win the Big 12. They're going to need some help getting into the playoffs. Things are going to have to happen. It's possible, but I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see Clemson losing another one. The Michigan-Ohio State game is going to settle it. I don't see Louisville losing another one. And even if Alabama loses to Auburn, you cannot put a one-loss Alabama team out of the playoffs, and especially put a Big 12 champion in front of Alabama. It's not going to happen. Pac-12. There's a whole world of shit that can happen as far as this goes, okay? You have, on one side of the house, you have Washington State, who is leading that side of the house as far as the Pac-12 goes, followed by Washington. Okay? Washington State has Colorado this weekend, who is leading the other side of the house with UNC nipping at the heels, okay? Or USC. USC has UCLA this weekend. Colorado has Wazoo. And then they have Utah. If they can win out, they're going to go to the Pac-12 championship. I don't see that happening. I would like to see Washington State beat Colorado this weekend, and it sets up the Apple Cup with the Huskies and the Cougars. Huge game out there in the Northwest. You know, me personally, I still think Washington's the best team. We're looking to more than likely probably have a rematch as far as USC and Washington go in the Pac-12 championship. So that's pretty much the conferences and kind of the playoff picture for what we have going on right now. Let's get into Week 12. Now, Week 12, we were supposed to start off with a big Thursday night game. Houston came into the year, they beat Oklahoma. Ward out there, they looked like they were a solid ball club. You know, they were the top 10, a sleeper into the playoffs, you know, this, that, and the other. And Houston has completely fallen off. And this game back in Week 4 was huge. You know, it was supposed to be okay. Even if Louisville loses to Clemson, which they did, and after they lost, they were like, well, they still got Houston. If they could go and they can beat Houston, Louisville's back in the playoff talk. Well, Houston's not even ranked, and Louisville's on the outside looking in regardless, looking at that Ohio State-Michigan game. Okay? So we got Louisville, Houston kicking off Thursday night. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson, the Heisman Trophy winner, pretty much, to win this one probably big. Double-digit big. Okay, so let's move on to Saturday. We have TCU, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's rolling. TCU can't really find their footing. I'm going to roll with the Cowboys on this one. Ohio State, Michigan State. Now, last year this game was huge. You know, it was Big Ten powerhouse. Whatever. Not this year. Michigan State. This is not the year for Sparty. Buckeyes roll on that one. Florida, LSU. The Hurricane washout game. Bayou Bengals are going to take this game. Florida cannot handle Leonard Fournette. Florida cannot handle that defense. Yes, they beat South Carolina. This ain't South Carolina, boys. The SEC West is way better than the East. Makeup game, LSU over Florida. Washington State against the Buffaloes of Colorado. I'm going to take the Cougars, I think. But yeah, I want to see Washington State and Washington. I want that to be a huge game. So I'm going to take Wazoo over Colorado. Michigan, Indiana. A lot of people would think, oh, trap game. Let me tell you something. Michigan and Jim Harbaugh is pissed about that loss last week. He ain't having it. Michigan ain't having it. Even with the quarterback out. Whatever. I'm not even. I'm still not even. No, I'm good. I'm going to roll with the Wolverines on this one, and it's going to set up a huge game against Ohio State. Stanford, Cal. Stanford climbed their way back into the top 25. Whatever. There might be some points scored. Cal, the Bears can't play defense, and McCaffrey finally had a breakout game. Stanford's going to win this one as well. Oklahoma, West Virginia, big game. I don't think anybody in the Big 12 is going to mess with Oklahoma right now with the way they're playing. I think that Oklahoma's going to beat West Virginia just by outscoring them. There's going to be some points thrown up on the scoreboard because neither one of these teams can play very good defense. Oklahoma, Stoops and company, let's go. USC, UCLA. Once again, beginning of the year, huge implications. It was supposed to be a big game, you know, the powers of Southern California, you know, back on the board and blah, blah. Those days are gone. Southern California will win this game, USC, the Trojans, and they'll be watching the Colorado Wazoo game afterwards. And last but not least, Arizona State, Washington. There's a lot of Pac-12 games this week. Look for points to be scored. Look for Browning and company to bounce back after that loss. Washington by double digits. That's PTF for Week 12. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And we don't have many more of these left. So everybody enjoy while you can. See you back next week.